Hello gecko people, my name is Sarah and I am Rainy Day Geckos. I have been breeding and keeping New Caledonian species since 2012 and I'm excited to finally be here on YouTube to share my knowledge and advice and experience with you all and to discuss big important topics in keeping and breeding these animals. For our first video, I want to cover the three main questions that you should ask yourself before even starting a breeding project. That is before you get your first animal. These are things that you need to ask yourself before you get started. So let's dive in. So let's get into the first key question that you'll want to ask yourself before breeding anything, and that is, why do I want to breed this species? It may seem like an obvious question, because I want to. Why would I even ask myself that? But you're going to want to think about the reasons that you're going to get into this because it's a large commitment. There are lives on the line. You're going to be producing new animals. So we really want to consider the reasons and what you may have to offer. I have a few reasons here listed that I would like to share with you that I think are good reasons for getting into breeding. First possible answer is love of the species. Number one, you have to love what you're working with because you're going to be working with it every day. You're going to be cleaning cages, you're going to be feeding, you're going to be taking care of these animals, you're going to possibly take care of them when they get sick. There's going to be all kinds of things that you need to do with them, and you're going to need to be passionate about the animals that you're working with. And this is very important, and I would say probably the best reason on my list for wanting to get into breeding, but it's certainly not the only great reason. Another great reason for getting into breeding is that you feel like you have something to offer that community for the specific species that you are working with. I'm going to use chahoua as an example here, but it could apply to any animal, any reptile. If you go and do research, if you look at Morph Market, you think, wow, there's something here that's missing and I think I could fill that niche myself. I think I could make some animals that would really benefit what is available today. That is key to being able to sell your animals. For more specifics on that topic, I will be doing another video in the future, so keep an eye out for a specifically chahoua related how to make a project video that is coming up. While conservation is a noble reason to start breeding, you may not even really have an avenue in order to actually work in the conservation space, depending on the species that you choose. So you want to do some research and you'll want to look into groups that specify in that species if they are rare reptiles or if they're endangered in the wild. There are certain ways to go about actually conserving the species and certain programs that maybe you could potentially participate in, but they're probably very specific and have specific needs. So I would say, while it's a great reason to want to help a specific species, be reintroduced into the wild, you may not be able to specifically help with that exact goal, but what you may be able to do is really help reduce the number of wild animals being brought into the hobby by producing captive bred, well-maintained animals that people can purchase instead of buying wild caught animals. Now here are some questionable reasons to get into breeding, and I bet you can guess number one. Go on, say it with me. That's right, money. You may have seen some geckos listed online for some very high prices and thought to yourself, you know what? I bet this is a way to get rich quick. I'm gonna get in there, I'm gonna get some geckos, I'm gonna put two together, bam, 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 and make thousands of dollars. I can tell you that's not going to happen your first year. That's exactly how some breeders come in hot and then they just flame out the first couple of years because they're coming in with the anticipation that it's a get rich quick scheme, and then they invest a bunch of money, they don't make their animals breed successfully, and they give up just like that and dump their collections, which we don't want for you. We want you to have a great foundation to start with and start slow, steady, and work your way up to the point where you feel that you're able to make money. For example, chahoua take about 3 years to reach full maturity and breeding age. Then if everything goes well and you pair them successfully, they only produce at maximum 6 eggs a year, maybe 8 if you're extremely lucky. That's not to say that you can't make money doing this. Certainly people do. It's just that it shouldn't be your number one reason for breeding. And if it is your number one reason for breeding because you think this is going to be some kind of get-rich-quick scheme, just don't. There's way more lucrative careers out there than becoming a gecko breeder. And maybe become a, I don't know, financial advisor or a programmer or something. This is not the path for you if that is the reason that you want to get into breeding. Now, that's not to say that I'm judging anybody who wants to make money. I'm just saying, it shouldn't be your first reason. Now, while it is possible to become the next big reptile influencer, I think it should be more of a byproduct of your experience, your passion, your dedication to your craft, your business, everything that comes with that. So while I would say that, it is possible, I don't think it should be your number one reason for getting into this. It is a pretty niche interest after all, and there can only be so many people that are huge in the reptile, fame arena. Think about Brian Barczyk, Snake Discovery, Dave Kaufman. We would all love to be like that. That would be fantastic. But I think really the aim should be, when you're first starting out breeding, to start from the ground up, to start a great foundation for your business, to continue working and dedicating all of your time and effort. And as a byproduct, you may become a well-known person on social media because they know that your animals are well taken care of, beautiful, and that you work hard and you're full of passion. And that passion will come through naturally. So I'm going to be starting something called the No Judgment Zone. And we're going to be entering the No Judgment Zone right now. What this is things that I've heard that other people have told me that I think are not advisable and should not be done or should be stopped. We're entering the no judgment zone. Here we go. I only have room for 1 cage, but I have 2 geckos. Obviously, there are issues with this. The main issue is that, if you don't want to buy any more cages and you're going to end up with more geckos, that's a problem. Also, a lot of the time, these animals that are put together, when I hear about them, they are underage. They're not ready to breed yet, and people are keeping, say, like 6-month-old to a year-old animals together that are male and female and going, well, they probably won't breed yet. They will. As soon as the boy is able to breed, he will attempt it, and it could kill the female. So please separate your animals. Please buy that second cage, because it is your responsibility as a reptile keeper not to produce animals that you don't mean to, and also to keep the animals safe that you do have. While the beauty of life is incredible to witness and an amazing process, I would say if you're just doing it to see what happens, you're going to still end up with potentially 16 plus animals that you have to then find homes for. So while the process itself is really cool to be able to see, especially if you have kids and the kids are interested, I would say hold off unless you are ready fully to take care of the animals you produce, which is a great segue to our next second question that you should be asking yourself before you become a reptile breeder. And that question is, do I have all my needs covered for all my animals all the way to adulthood? Now, you don't necessarily need everything right away, but it would be good to have an idea of where you'll be able to buy it if you need it. So I've assembled a small list of things that you should probably consider having when you're ready to start breeding. Here is the list. Feel free to pause the video and take a look at the list. We'll go over some of the items on this list. Here's just a quick shot of some supplies that I think that any breeder should have on hand, especially if you breed New Caledonian geckos, and I'll be discussing how we use these through that lens. So over here we have our hatching medium, which obviously we need if we're going to incubate eggs. This is Super Hatch, but there are other hatching mediums that you could choose. Feel free to do your research on that. There's Perlite, Vermiculite, all kinds of other brands, but we like Super Hatch and we've always used it. We also have egg cutting tools. These are for emergencies. If your egg is leaking and you can't patch it up, if there's a gecko that is stuck and will drown unless you assist hatch, it is great to have something on hand to gently and carefully cut those tiny little eggs open. We also have here a gram scale. Ours goes down to 1/10 of a gram, but you can just have grams. It depends on your choice. We got ours off of Amazon, but it's great for weighing animals. We also have this jeweler's loop, also very affordable on Amazon. That's great for sexing babies. I can show you how to sex babies in another video. We have calcium gluconate. This is a fantastic rescue calcium supplement. So if your females start to crash, and calcium crashes do happen, then you will have something on hand just in case you need to supplement your females by weight with this. We also have over here, great for everyone. This is a dusted calcium supplement that we dust our insects with. This one has D3. Figure out if you need D3 for yours, but I do like this brand. It sticks well to the crickets. There are other brands, of course, but that's what we like to use. And then, of course, we have Tupperware containers, ever useful. We like to use these for incubating eggs and also making lay boxes. So that's just a small sample of some of the supplies that you could have on hand. Something to consider is gecko-proofing your space. If an animal escapes your space, it would be really nice to have a more enclosed area that you could at least search a little bit more easily if somebody gets out. So that's, babies, adults, etc. What we have done is actually made a space in our downstairs room, and we have things like mesh over our vents to make sure the little babies can't go down there. We keep the door closed. We make sure all of the other doors are closed. Things like this will help reduce stress in the event of an escape. And with that, let's move on to the third important question that you should ask yourself before becoming a breeder. And that is, what is my selling plan? Let's say that you feel confident now working with the species that you want to work with. Let's say that you've answered all of the questions previously. You have all of your supplies, you're ready to go. You've put your animals together and produced babies. Now what? Now what do you do? Let's talk about that. Something you'll want to consider is your market. For example, let's say that you want to vend at a reptile expo, and that's going to be your main way of selling animals. What you'll want to do then is probably go as a customer to your local reptile expo first and do a little bit of research. Check out what other people have on their tables, what kind of animals they're selling. Check out what kind of things people are buying. See what people have in their hands that they've actually purchased at the show. Do a little bit of research and figure out what kind of market you're in. Here in Washington, our shows tend to be a lot more family oriented. A lot of people with kids, people who don't necessarily have a lot of reptile experience. So people that are vending those shows are going to bring their lower end animals. They're easier to care for animals. Things like that will sell better at our local shows than things that are high end. And vice versa, if you're in somewhere like Tinley and you have reptile industry pros attending your show that are looking for breeding stock and looking for high-end stuff. So really just have to know your market and do a little bit of research, and then you'll have a better idea of whether shows will serve you well. However, I would say either way, it's advisable to at least vend a reptile show once to be able to start getting some connections locally with your other reptile folks there, with customers there, just getting your name and face out there. It's always a good thing, but it does come with costs. There are also lots of other ways to sell your animals. Things like Morph Market or Palmstreet is the new hotness, or building your own website, social media presence. There's all kinds of ways that you can sell your animals, and you'll just want to do a bit of research and figure out which is the right one for you. Let me know down in the comments below if you would like a video about how to market your animals. With these 3 questions answered, hopefully you feel much more prepared to start your breeding gecko journey. I'm so excited that you get to come on this journey with me and join all the crazy people here that are breeding animals and loving it. So please smash that like button, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any future videos, and let me know, what are you interested in? What do you want to hear about next? What kinds of videos do you want me to make? I'm all ears. I'm so excited to finally be here on YouTube and making videos about all of my experience and the advice that I have to share with you. I have ideas of my own that I'm going to be making videos for, but again, it's really to serve you and to help you on your journey. So please let me know down in the comments what you would like to see. And I hope that you have a fantastic day. I will see you in the next one.